This is my 2007 Suckerpunch Sally traditional bobber that I've slowly been converting to a foot clutch and a jockey shift. It's kind of been a nightmare because these Evo 5-speeds were just not designed for that setup. You know, if I had to do it over again, I would have gotten like a 6 and a 4 ratchet top or a rotary top and just, you know, put a new transmission in there with an adapter plate. But I'm invested now, so it's just gonna have to do. I've kind of had to bootleg a few things, but it's essentially done. I've just got to figure out the brake lines and put some fluid and bleed them. So I'll run through it real quick. I got rid of the switch housings and the levers on the bars. Basically, I hid the switches in the motor mount, and then I am, of course, doing a foot clutch, and then I'm going to do a double banjo bolts on the brakes and run them both off the brake pedal. So I'll probably ditch the idle cable because the spring on the cable guide there on the carb is, you know, plenty strong to snap that throttle back in the event that, like, you know, something gets hung up or, you know, it breaks. So anyways, I'll run through it real quick. So those are the switches. These are the only ones I kept. It, you know, it doesn't, I pulled the turn signals because one of them just, you know, it was just crap and it stopped working. So anyways, I got rid of the turn signals, and then I jumpered the kill switch together, completing the circuit, so it's obsolete. This is the high-low beam. I was going to mount it inside the headlight with a mini toggle, but it seemed like it was more trouble than it was worth. Plus, I think this looks a little bit cleaner. Also, trying to reach down and activate a, you know, a high beam there on the headlights, kind of just, you know, silly. But anyways, this is the horn. It had a little Roadrunner horn on there. I put a Wolo and just kind of tucked it in there by the oil tank, you know, behind the rear cylinder. So this is the shift lever, and it's just a, you know, a rod welded to a bracket. It mounts to the existing shifter down there at the spline, and then, you know, where the shift rod used to go. It's not ideal, but the guy that does my welding, since I'm, you know, not confident in my welding abilities for anything more than a tack, he's moving shops and he just couldn't handle it for me. So this is going to have to do for now till he's available. When he's settled, I'm going to have him just weld a rod directly to the shifter, which will be a little bit cleaner and probably have a little bit less wobble, because right now, I mean, it's just got a little bit of wobble. I don't think it's going to cause any problems, but, you know, I would like it to be done better. So this is the way I bootlegged the foot clutch. I found a shorter clutch cable, ran it up under the primary across the underside of the crankcase, and then took it over there to the cover, and so now it's completely foot clutch. And then you can kind of see I had to kind of bootleg that also. This is kind of like a little bushing there that allows this to rotate so it doesn't bind up. I did have some binding because originally I routed it in front of the motor, and it was just too sharp a bend, and it was, I mean, it was impossible to push it down with my foot. So I rerouted it, readjusted the clutch, and now it's real smooth. It doesn't require a whole lot of pressure, so I'm pretty happy about that. I'll show you that solenoid starter in case y'all haven't seen one of those. So this is essentially just a mechanical starter. It pushes up against that solenoid and starts the bike, and it's hidden below the oil tank right there, and it mounts directly to the starter. It doesn't require anything, it just bolts right on. So I think it's pretty sleek. They from the factory, they did this, I mean, it seemed like they half-assed it, man. Like, that's the brake light switch. You've got this unnecessary bend there, and then, you know, it was pretty shitty brake line. So I got a banjo bolt from Lowbrow that also has a brake light switch built in, and I'll run the wires down up under the tube and then solder them to that, and it should be pretty clean when it's done. And the way I eliminated the brake lever is in this this is going to get cleaned up. Right now it's just hanging because I've got no fluid in it, and I had to put some new forward controls on it to make everything work. The other ones just, they weren't cooperating, so I'm going to have to, you know, bleed the lines, fill the lines and all that stuff and hook them up to the master. But I'm going to run both of the brakes off a double banjo bolt on the master cylinder here, you know, similar to how guys with dual disc front brakes run 2-disc brakes off of the brake lever. So I mean, it's not, certainly not safer, and it'll take some getting used to, but I think it cleans everything up real good. And you know, I got an extended brake line. I'll run that, that'll be here, and then I'll run the front brake line out here, probably at a 90, tuck it back here, and then try and, with some clamps, run that a little more clean. And once it's bled, you know, and the pressure is good, then, you know, I'm not too concerned with the bend there. Brake lines are a little more forgiving than, you know, braided, you know, cables and things like that. So for the most part, I think that's it. The only other thing I got to do is I'm going to have a sissy bar welded to the existing rear struts, since they're already pretty clean, and then I can just have a sissy bar that comes up, you know, maybe, you know, 36 inches, something like that. That way, if I ever did want to throw a sissy bar bag on there or something like that, you know, that'd be an option. My buddy was wanting me to chop the fender altogether, but, you know, I just want the option to be able to strap a bag on there. I'm also not crazy about these little peanut tanks. I mean, they look great, but you can't go further than about 70-80 miles on them. And I think I can kind of retrofit a Mustang tank or one of the dished Indian Larry style tanks to this. I'll just have to have some brackets welded to the same distance that these are, because these are like 16 3/4 apart, and most of those, you know, the brackets, they're off by an inch or two. So I'll have to figure that out, but that's going to be later. And then I guess lastly, I want to get this sucker powder coated on the tank and the fender. I like the pinstriping, it's okay, it's not great, but I cannot stand that Suckerpunch Sally logo on there. So that'll be the last thing I do. I don't know what color to do it. If you got any suggestions, let me know. I've been looking through powder coating colors, but I just cannot make up my mind. So, all right, well, that's it for now.